Um, First, Justin Skarb is Director of Community Affairs and Government Relations for California Water Service, aka Cal Water, logo in back of him. Cal Water is the second largest water utility in the state and largest regulated by the California PUC. Yes, they do water. FEMA does dams. PUC does water too. Cal Water provides safe, reliable, and high quality water utility service to approximately 2 million Californians, ranging from Chico in the north to Palos Verdes Peninsula in the south. And so Justin oversees Cal Water's relationships with local, state, and federal officials and other stakeholders, as well as the company's community giving initiatives. And one thing I'll say actually for both companies, Nicole mentioned with her group, as far as the average longevity of employees. And both Cal Water and San Jose Water have quite a story to tell in that regard as well. And so before he can tell it, I'll introduce John Tang. He's Vice President of Regulatory Affairs and Government Relations for San Jose Water. He has more than 27 years of experiences within the areas of environmental engineering and public affairs. Currently, he leads the company's regulatory affairs, corporate communications, and government relations programs. He's the chief representative at San Jose Water to the California Public Utilities Commission and is responsible for developing and executing the company's regulatory policy and strategy, as well as stewarding relationships with community groups and organization, business leaders, and governmental representatives. Prior to that, he worked for FMC Corp as an environmental engineer and managed remediation of a diverse portfolio of contaminated industrial facilities, and there's quite a lot of them in state and federal Superfund sites in the U.S. and Canada. So, and lastly, serves on the Cupertino Chamber of Commerce and the California Water Association, as well as chairing the National Association of Water Companies regulatory and legislative committees. Actually, one more thing, because it was really good. Besides being on the American Water Works Association, AWWA, Public Affairs Council, John is also a member of the CPUC's Low Income Oversight Board. And, as we get into kind of equity issues involving water. So I'm not sure how you guys are going to be set up are you doing separate presentations? But
Dennis, we came prepared to talk because I'm not a fan of PowerPoint and I don't think John is either. So
yeah, so I'll let you two have a conversation. I'm going to tiptoe away and have at it.
Thanks, Dennis.
Okay. Well, Justin, I think I can start, and maybe you can help kind of fill in a little bit. So,
yeah, absolutely.
The topic of this panel is advanced metering infrastructure, and so San Jose Water, we are very excited. We recently got approval from the Public Utilities Commission to deploy smart water meters, essentially AMI, throughout our service area. Dennis mentioned Justin's organization, how they're the largest regulated utility in the state of California. I think we are the second largest regulated utility by number of customers in the state of California. And, really what's driving AMI deployment for all water utilities are three things: conservation, cost savings, and customer service. And I think Nicole had mentioned that in terms of conservation being the cheapest source of supply that we can get at. When I say conservation related to AMI, I'm talking about leak detection, the ability to tell customers pretty much instantaneously if they have a leak. Right now, as you know, most customers are billed either on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. And so, by the time they get their bill, they're either 30 days late with the leak or 60 days late with the leak. It's really too difficult to send to send a message to them in a more timely manner. And then really the other thing related to conservation for AMI is really leak detection, as I mentioned. And so when you talk about leak detection, and this is a possibly a stale data point, but I got this from BOSQA many years ago. I think the average household has about maybe 10 to 15% leakage rate. So they're actually paying for the water, but they're actually not using it because it's lost through, irrigation, toilets, and other places. And so with AMI and the instantaneous leak detection or the more timely leak detection that we can provide for customers, we think we can actually drive this number down by maybe half. I mean, I'm going to be a little bit optimistic about it. So say the number is 5%. I'm sorry, say the number is 10% for the average household. With AMI, we're hoping to drive this down to 5%, maybe even lower, depending on the cooperation of the customers. And so that's on the customer side. And then on our side, as you know, being in this business, all water utilities have leaks. It's part of our non-revenue water. It's part of either apparent or non-apparent losses. And so, we're sitting at around 6.5%, which we think actually is a great number, by the way, given the fact that, we're 155 years old. And so with AMI, we think we can drive this down. Again, I'm going to be a little optimistic here, but maybe drive that 6.5% number down even more. So when you start adding up the stuff that you can do on the utility side and then add the stuff that you can do on the customer side, numbers start to add up. Typically what we see from our wholesaler, unless it's a very, very historic, prolonged drought, we're talking conservation in the range of 10 to 20%. With this technology, we think we can get to 20% without doing any conservation, right? With just the leak detection, just giving customers the ability to know when they have a leak and to get after it. And so we think AMI is really going to be a very, very big I think development for the entire industry. We are the first large-scale investor-owned water utility to have this approved. I know Justin's organization is looking to file an application to do just that. And then the cost savings, and I think the customers speak for itself. With AMI, we're able to tell customers exactly when they use the water. On the cost saving side, as you know, whether it's water on our side or whether it's water on the customer side, we're paying for water that's lost through leaks. And so the more we can drive this down, the more of a benefit there will be to customers. So Dennis asked me to kind of get into a little bit about the deployment. And so San Jose Water Company serves 230,000 connections, providing service to about 1 million residents in the greater San Jose metropolitan area. So the deployment is not going to be overnight. This is going to take us probably a good 3 to 4 years to do. And the way I understand the deployment working is that, the software needs to go in first. So we need to choose our customer portal. We need to choose our meter data management system, basically the interface with the meters. And then once we get that done, that's the software side of things. Once we get that done, then we will go ahead and install the hardware. And the hardware consists of, roughly about 15 antennas that it's a fixed network that we're doing. We're going to put about 15 antennas up throughout our service area to get the right amount of coverage. And then we're going to replace or retrofit the current meters that we have. About 30% of the meters are going to be new because they're approaching the end of their useful life. And so, we're going to replace them anyway. So we might as well as replace them with a new AMI meter. But 70% of the meters we have are going to be retrofit. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically change the register so that, we're not replacing the whole meter. We're just changing the register so that it can be AMI compatible. And so that's kind of the plan for this. I think the other thing I'll say before I hand it off to Justin is just a little bit on the regulatory matter, right? And Nicole mentioned, conservation. She mentioned affordability. We think definitely this technology can provide that affordability aspect to it. Right now, customers don't know what they're using until we send them a bill a month, 2 months later. With this, they know exactly how much they're using up to the hour, essentially. When I toured a facility that had AMI, the quote I got from them was, we actually know when people are flushing toilets. I mean, that's kind of how granular this technology will get you. And at the Public Utilities Commission, there is a lot of support right now for the deployment of AMI. In fact, in a decision back in 2020, the commission encouraged all of its regulated water utilities to deploy AMI. And what's key about this is, as you all know, we currently have, conservation regulations on the books. We're all going to be on water budgets. We're actually probably on water budgets now. It's just not enforceable at this point. Starting on January 1st, 2025 is when the water budgets become enforceable. And so without this tool, it will make it very, very difficult. Forget about the drought that we're in now, but just without this tool, it will make it very, very difficult for customers to understand their consumption pattern, to adjust their consumption pattern so that they don't go above their budgets, and really to comply with kind of California conservation as a way of life in California policies that are really going to be coming down the pipe, no pun intended, and being enforced here pretty soon. So with those kind of short intro, I'll hand it off to my peer Justin, because they're bigger than we are. They got a lot more work to do. They have many districts, so I think their work is going to be a little harder than ours. We're all one single district, and so and Justin, by the way, we're glad to share with you our lessons learned as well to make your deployment go a little bit smoother.
Yeah, thanks for that, John, and I appreciate that. We've been working with the commission for a while now to try to get various iterations of AMI deployed in some of our service areas, and we've got a few smaller pilot projects right now that are in place. And I think that the two things that you hit on that I just wanted to echo. Obviously, the conservation side is incredibly important. We ask customers to conserve currently, but they have no way really of knowing how much water they're using in real time. They don't know how much water they use when they flush the toilet, when they shower, when they do a load of laundry, and really more than anything, how much water they use when they turn on their sprinklers outside, because that's where the majority of water use is, and across the state, that's where the majority of excess water use is. I'm not going to call it waste, but I will call it excess, because a lot of people, in California, they think that they need to flood their lawns in order to keep it alive, and unfortunately that happens in a drought. But they don't have a comprehension of how many gallons of water that little sprinkler is putting out if they run it for half an hour every day or every night. With AMI, that customer can turn on the sprinkler system and tell in real time or near real time by logging into the portal how much water they've actually used, which really empowers that customer to make those decisions that they need to make to reduce their water bill and to reduce the amount of water that they use. That then translates directly into affordability issues and equity issues, because if you've got a leaky toilet, or if you've got an irrigation system that is running too long or is using too much water, or worse, the irrigation system is leaking, which we hear for not complaints, but we hear from customers all the time. My water bill's high because I had a leak in my irrigation system and I didn't know about it until I got my water bill that was $2,000 because it was running nonstop. I just never saw the water because it's all going into the soil. Having AMI in place allows customers to look at that information in real time. And perhaps more importantly than that, as John iterated, and that means that they save money, right? They're not paying for water that they're wasting. They're not paying for, and by waste, I mean that they didn't intend to use it. They didn't want to use it. It was that they had a leak in the irrigation system, or the toilet was running, whatever the case may be. They can get that access to that information in near real time through the web portal. Then the other key thing, and I want to ask John more about this because I don't think that we've gotten here yet, and I'm interested to hear more about what their vision for this is being able to send those notifications out to customers to say, hey, we noticed that there was something going on last night with your water use, and you might want to check your toilets or whatever the case may be, and be able to send that communication to the customer near real time so they can address those issues in real time, save themselves money, and perhaps more than anything, given the current drought situation, to save themselves, to save water as well, which will be immensely beneficial. The other thing before I want to go back to that point and ask John a question, but the other point that I want to make, and I'm not sure who all is on today, but I know that we had a big audience that was coming. the thing that, that has, I don't want to say prevented Cal Water from moving forward with this, but there's a concern. There's always a concern with an expensive investment like AMI. Is it going to be beneficial? Is the customer going to use it? Do the customers you serve and do the communities you serve actually want this to go in place? And the places where we've had success thus far, and I've got to give a shout out to Portola Valley, which is one of the communities that they serve that partnered with us in our last proceeding before the commission to help us get a pilot program for AMI in place. The reason we were able to get that was in part because the community partnered with us and they said, we want this. We think this is important for our constituents to have, for our residents to have, and to have the commission hear from that community, not the utility, not the people who want to make the investment, but from the community saying, this is going to be impactful both from an affordability standpoint and from a water conservation standpoint, and we want our residents to have this information, is far more persuasive to the commission than anything that we can put together. And so I think that is true not only for the utilities that are regulated by the Public Utilities Commission, but I also think that that's true for cities and counties that you got elected officials there that are looking at potentially a large infrastructure investment number in order to deploy the AMI. And then they question whether or not they really want to do it. Do I want to do that, or do I want to invest in something else? And being able to hear from the community, be it from environmental activists and people concerned about the environment and folks that are interested in water conservation, et cetera, can make all the difference in these decisions. And it's incredibly important for folks to be engaged. And that's kind of the biggest point that I want folks to walk away from today, is the more that we can partner together, that the utilities and environmental type organizations and utilities and organizations like Sustainable Silicon Valley and the rest of the folks on the call can partner together on these important initiatives, the better off we're all going to be when it comes to meeting the water needs in California and the West for that matter. And maybe we can avoid having to construct a pipeline from the Mississippi out to the West Coast, if we're lucky. It's amazing the number of op-eds I've seen recently about that very idea, by the way, about piping water from the Mississippi out to the West Coast. So, John, the question that I wanted to ask you is, how are you all planning on integrating this into your customer relationship management system? Are you all looking at doing those automated text messages and emails when certain triggers take place in the system based on the water use you see in the AMI system?
Yeah, Justin, that's a really good question. The AMI system is configurable, right? And so, we're going to be able to set, alarms, set notifications. It could be, just as a customer, obviously we're not there yet in terms of this deployment, but just as a customer, it would be hard pressed for me to have water use that lasts for more than an hour. Okay. I mean, if water is running continuously for an hour or more, something is not right? Unless you're filling a pool or something like that, but something is not right if your water is running for an hour or more. So I think this program, this technology is going to be very, very customizable for us to be able to do that, and for us to be able to do a number of things, whether it's send a text message if we have their cell phone number in our system, and that's the customer portal that I'm talking about. We're looking at a former WaterSmart. I think they're a new company now. Somebody bought them out, but we're looking at a WaterSmart form of WaterSmart portal that's going to be able to give us kind of this customization capability. And one thing I want to mention, you mentioned the cost a little bit, Justin, the cost impacts of this. For us, we're estimating probably $5 to $6 a month. $5 to $6 a month. We think that that's just for the cost of the capital to get the stuff in and for folks to be able to use it. We think that there's some real savings opportunities on the other side for both the customer and the utility as well on that $5 to $6 a month. And so, I haven't done the math yet. It can get kind of convoluted, but there's definitely a lot of benefit to this $5 to $6 a month charge once we get this AMI, up and running. So it's not people think about $5 to $6 a month. Look, that's your coffee in the morning at Starbucks, right? And you're going to have this technology that's going to be able to notify you when there's a leak. That's going to be able to help you manage your water use as we go into 2025. and have those water budget rules in effect. And so, again, I just think that this is something that we're going to need. I think the entire industry is going to need. And by the way, I think some of our municipal peers are already ahead of us in that front and have deployed AMI. Dublin San Ramon Community Services District, the city of Morgan Hill. I'm not sure if SFPUC has done it as well, but there are many others that have found the cost benefit analysis for this technology to really be in not only their favor, but as well as in their customers' favor.
Thanks for that, John. One other question: are you all deploying on? Are they going to be cell-based or microwave?
Yeah, I think it's going to be cellular, Justin. A fixed cellular network is what we're thinking about, and it's I think I mentioned 15 antennas kind of throughout our service area of varying heights to make sure we get the required coverage, and so we'll see what that looks like. I think we have some work ahead to do to kind of figure out the software side of things first. What that meter data management system is going to look like. That's obviously very key to this technology, right? If you don't have that, it doesn't matter what you put in on the other side. And then the customer portal, I think, is also going to be very, very, very important for this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for that information. Dennis, I think that we were supposed to go for half an hour and we started a little bit late, but I wanted to make sure that we left enough time for questions. So I don't know if you have any or if there's any from the audience.
Well, just a couple things. It's been a very nice discussion. I was reminded actually the recent example with Cal ISO, where the grid, the electric grid demand was breaking records, with the recent heat wave. I mean, I know we've had rain today, but there was recently a big heat wave and, broke all kinds of records statewide on the grid. And Cal ISO actually put out, and this is more, I guess, the flex your power, kind of put out advisories that, hey, we're like the grid's melting, and people really responded, and it was very much in the news, and kind of backed off, and you could see the curve change once they started on social media. In terms of doing that, from an electrical supply perspective, and there weren't any rolling brownouts or blackouts or anything like that. So that was considered quite a coup, considering the conditions. I just did have a
Dennis, on that point, there's an interesting connection there to AMI.
Yes.
Because during the heat wave and the energy crisis, it was not just the electric utilities that were called upon to try to reduce their usage. It was water utilities that were asked to try to get customers to use less water, to pump less, for the utilities to pump less water. And so we too were sending out messages to our customers, asking them for additional conservation during that time. And having AMI in place helps us calculate how much water we were actually able to reduce. So if we send that text message out or that email out at 5 o'clock, let's say on a Friday, and then we can review real-time data to see what the effect of that text message was. And so in the same way that when you're doing email marketing or text marketing, that you want to see the click-through rate on your emails, or if you're doing video marketing, you want to see how many people watch 75% plus of your video. It'll enable us really to see the effectiveness in real time of our various conservation messages that we're putting out, because we can see that immediate impact that it would have on customers, but hopefully see that curve go down. And that's currently some data that we don't have, because our meters, we go out and we read our meters once a month. Unless somebody's got a complaint, then we'll go out and read it again. Yeah.
If you could get more granular usage information, I would think that'd be very, very valuable. By the way, this particular conversation will be continued a little bit tomorrow. With I think Kurt Ellert and Anthony Meyer, respectively, from Cal Water and San Jose Water. No, it's the other way around, but sorry. Talking about kind of the active conservation programs, and having someone come to the house and looking at irrigation and stuff, the catch program, and I forget the name of the
Smart Landscape Tune-Up Program.
Thank you. So actually, this gets me to another question. I have, there were, I'm in Redwood City, and they had, I guess it was, I'm not sure if it's a Bosca thing, but it's a Redwood City thing about flume device, inside the meter devices to get information about usage. And, it's great kind of thing where you can simple install, and you have it on a web app on your phone. And it is something I figure I'd better get and kind of eat my own dog food here. And but it's quite interesting to have that pretty granular information on the phone. I know it's kind of, they use a magnetic response kind of thing. It seems like a little counterintuitive in terms of how they be able to tell stuff, but I wondered if there were plans for the inside the meter aspect, as well as the outside with AMI.
So Dennis, when you talk about flume, we actually looked at the flume technology, and unfortunately, fortunately, I think absent AMI, I think flume is probably the next best thing you have in terms of having that kind of more real time information. Unfortunately, the flume device is not a device that you can completely rely on for actually reading exactly how much water went through the meter. And so, as you know, it's an add-on system, right? They use.
Oh yeah, and I was asking generally, not with product specific.
Right. So I think for us, like I mentioned, we're going to replace about 60,000 meters with this new AMI meter that we have. The remaining 170,000 meters, because they're relatively in various stages of their life, we want to extend. I think all good water managers, all good water utilities want to extend the life of the asset as long as they can. As long as it makes economic sense to do, so that it blunts, whatever rate impacts and whatever cost impacts there are to customers. And so that's kind of our plan. And we think it's something that makes a lot of sense for not only for us, but I think for our customers as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and by the way, there wasn't a deal offered through the utility. I found a better deal from my insurance company.
Oh,
they had a deal in place, and I just happened upon that, and it was like, wow, this is like twice as good.
What kind of deal did your insurance related to water service? Related to your water meter?
To the flume device.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a significant difference actually. So it was like it was a pleasant surprise, and I would have done it anyway, but it was kind of like, oh, wow, this is good stuff. So just pointing that out, that there could be a couple different options, in terms of this. I know, for instance, what I don't have is an up-to-date irrigation panel, that would, for instance, have a rainfall detector.
Sure.
And I have a pretty old, system, but I've been thinking about that, too, certainly, but for another day. So let's see if, I'd like to thank you guys for this conversation, and I didn't miss any slides at all. And for breaking new ground by intra-auto presentations as well.
But parked, Dennis, not moving.
No.
So.
We don't want the moving part. That we'd probably be focused on looking at the scenery.
Right.
No, this is it was interesting talking with Nicole about just even different kind of supply issues. But in terms of the all of the above process, AMI and managing and measuring water use is also very important as far as what we consume. So this is really good news about, I guess, the change of attitude or something in the Public Utility Commission on AMI, and being able to look at that and hope that continues as well. So because there's this whole decoupling thing coming up.
Yep.
So anyway, thanks very much for coming on. And we're going to talk about, we will be talking about, with a nod to Sherlock Holmes, the 10% solution in terms of scaling water reuse and advanced purification. So all the many pieces of the pie.
Thank you for having us, Dennis. Really, really appreciate it. And be happy to come back once we get to deployment and kind of share with you, how the technology is working out and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, no, as you mentioned, it's a software first kind of thing, and then you're putting in your own kind of network within your area. And I could see where that, you can definitely break trail for Justin and Cal Water to do it in a lot of their different districts as well. So that kind of cooperation is great.
Dennis,
Okay,
thank you so
guys.
much for having us. Another great event from from Sustainable Silicon Valley. So.
Well, we're midway through the first day, so it just keeps going. I even have some surprises at the end here.